Hey everyone, how are you today? When you jump on, just let me know you're here by saying hello, and let me know where you're tuning in from and where you're coming from would be awesome. Or if you happen to be watching the replay because the little live button up in the top left hand side is now not showing, simply just write hashtag replay and I will connect with you as soon as possible. So I'm doing this Facebook Live to all of those Oracle and Tarot lovers out there. So today I wanted to come in and share with you. Hey Colette, hey Susan, how are you guys? Remembering the very first time that you actually ever went and bought a deck of Oracle cards, because I remember my own self going into a New Age store, buying my very first deck of Oracle cards and having the lady there, hey Jen, how are you, hun? Having the lady in the New Age shop go through and share with me all the things that I needed to do. And in my mind, I just sort of zoned out and listened to the noise and really didn't take on board what she was saying, because I thought, you know what? How hard is it to go and buy a deck of Oracle cards or tarot cards and bring them home and just, open up that gorgeous gateway to my intuition and just, almost as if the gods are going to open up and angels are going to sing to you. And I remember taking those deck of Oracle cards home as if they were like my new little baby, and getting them home and thinking, this is just going to be so awesome. I'm going to open up these deck of cards and I am going to connect to my intuition, and all those gorgeous soulful messages are just going to come pouring out at me. So I'd love to hear if this is connecting with you. Hey Jen, hey Lauren, how are you? And then I remember opening up the box and I looked at all of those cards and then I was like, Jesus, there really is a lot of cards and there's so much content on there. I'm just like, okay, let's just go to the guidebook. It's just going to make it so much easier. And I opened up the guidebook and I was like, this is not happening. So I'll just move straight to the card spread, and I bet you any money, by the time I do a card spread, it's just going to be such an easy process to be able to do this. And I'd love to hear if that's how, for any of you out there that are listening to this and have gone out and bought your very first deck of Oracle cards or tarot cards and have got home and gone and done the same things I did and realized it's just not as easy as what you think it is. And there's a little part of yourself that gets really discouraged and goes, am I actually even going to be able to learn how to do this? There's so much content. There's so much knowledge. What am I going to do? Hey, Maria. Hey, Tom. How are you guys? And wonder, like, how the hell are you ever actually going to learn how to develop your intuition and connect to your higher self and, develop that beautiful dialogue with the universe? And how do I make all this amazing shit open with these Oracle cards? And then looking there at them when you've bought your very first card and go, almost feeling like there's crickets because you just don't know how it goes. And there's a part of yourself that has that little bit of a nervous giggle where you're like, oh, I thought this was just going to be so easy. And it just takes time and practice. And this is something that not a lot of people talk about because they feel embarrassed, because we sort of think that talking or communicating with that soulful part, that higher self, or that universal connection, whatever it is, the language that you use to be able to talk to that more highly evolved version of yourself, we just naturally think that it's just going to be really, really easy. And that is very, very discouraging because that takes time, it takes practice, and we haven't over the years been shown how to do that in not so much in depth, but actually had that real conversation where people are really honest and actually remind you that it takes freaking time to develop this skill. And although yes, Oracle cards are a tool or a resource to help that itself also involves learning to understand the process of how to read the Oracle cards. And this was something that actually took me, hey Shirley, how are you, hun? And this actually took me quite some time. And that used to really frustrate me. So I'd love to hear if this is connecting with other Oracle and Tarot lovers out there, because I remember when I very first bought my first deck, I thought it was just going to be so simple. It was just going to be so easy. And it actually took quite a really long time on how to learn to develop that and how to strengthen that connection with myself, and getting so frustrated and walking away and thinking that I wondered if sometimes someone had written all the card meanings in the guidebook in freaking Chinese, because sometimes I would do card spreads at the beginning. I'd walk away and I'd be even more confused than what I started, considering I started the process seeking guidance, and I walked away and I was like, I got nothing. Actually, I've got less than nothing, because now I have that much junk in my head. I don't even know where to start to how to process all of this information. And you sit there and you think, no one tells you this. No one is really honest and says the shit is normal and it's natural. And because of that, I used to think, why is it that I'm just not connecting into that intuitive part of myself? And you start to think that there's actually something wrong with you, because no one tells you that the honest, what I call like the truth bombs of what it's really like when you buy your first deck of oracle cards, let alone tarot decks. Because I remember buying my very first tarot deck, and because a lot of time, I'm talking 20 years ago when I bought my very first deck of oracle cards, and I was a little bit confused by that. So I thought, I'll go and buy a deck of tarot cards, because a lot of people used tarot cards back when I first started, and everyone said it was, not that it was easy, but once you understood it, the process would be really, really simple. So I bought a deck of tarot cards and I brought those little suckers home. Well, that was just probably, that was not my strength, because now I had 78 cards to learn, and I was just like, hey, no, that one gets put to the side. And these are the things that I think is really important to share out there for anyone that is buying oracle cards, to be able to start understand that if you've never ever done this, it's going to take time and practice, but also understanding that there is a process that can simplify that for you when you understand that there is a gorgeous process that you can connect into, fast track that deeper connection to your intuition, to be able to receive those messages, which is exactly the reason that you bought the oracle cards or the tarot cards in the very first place, is because you want to be able to receive guidance. But knowing that there is a beautiful way and that you can actually connect into that much quicker if you understand that there is a beautiful process. And I wish that someone had shared with me the process much earlier, because it would have made it probably a lot more enjoyable and less frustrating had I understood that there was a process. Hey Kylie, hi Nikita. So that was the thing that I wanted to share, is that like when you're out there and you're purchasing and you're buying oracle cards, understand purchasing oracle or tarot cards, that it takes practice, it takes patience, and it takes time to be able to develop that deeper connection. So don't give up. Keep practicing all the time. Start with simple card spreads at the beginning. I remember myself, I opened up the guidebook the very first time I bought mine, and of course it had, probably about 6 different spreads in there. And of course something in your brain goes, man, if I go for that bigger spread, I am going to get so much wisdom revealed to me. So I went straight for the Celtic Cross, 10 cards, and I was like, I got nothing. There's nothing that is computing with this. So start with the simple, easy card spreads. Do them consistently. Practice them. Learn how to tune in to your own guidance. Learn how you're processing this information. Go back into yourself and ask yourself, how is this information relevant to what is going on in your world? And keep the process simple. As humans, as you would have heard me, if you've heard any of my Facebook lives, as humans, we love to complicate the shit out of the most simplest process, because somehow, I don't know why we like to do this to ourselves, because it's a little bit kind of all kinds of crazy, but we do it. So just understand that there is a simpler road that you can take. If this is what you're really, I've always said, you never go in and buy a deck of oracle cards or tarot cards for no reason. Something within you has become ignited for you to have gone and done that. So just because things may not fall into place easily or as simple as what you want, just don't give up, because that used to be the thing that was in the back of my head all the time. As much as I sit here and I have a giggle and I have a bit of a laugh about it, there was always something that little inner voice inside of my head that said, just keep practicing, don't give up, it's going to get easier. And little bit by little bit by little bit, it did. But it took quite a bit of time to be able to develop that, to be able to understand what my process was, to be able to understand that there was a much simpler way so that I could learn to receive the guidance that I was wanting, but also developing that confidence in myself as I was doing it. Because you know what? When you're doing an oracle card spread for the very first time, as much as you're excited, you're nervous, but you also don't have the confidence that you think you do. And the more you play with the cards, sometimes it's like you start off with this excitement and confidence, and then all of a sudden everything starts to plummet. And sometimes we feel like it's almost got to go down. But remember, when things go down, what's its natural process? It must come back up. So if you find you've bought your deck of oracle cards, you've got home, you've got that confusion, you think the gods are going to open up and the angels are going to sing to you, just like as silly as what I did when I first bought mine. Remember, there is going to be a moment that things start to get a little bit crushed, but then the clarity comes and that strength within that being ignited in that passion around wanting to develop your intuition and to be able to understand the oracle cards is much stronger, and therefore your confidence starts to come back up. I'm so pleased that this is really connecting with you and that you're loving all this advice, Nikita. So, but yeah, this is the real truth of what it's like to start playing with oracle cards and tarot decks. This is where we start to develop that deeper understanding and connection with ourselves that we may never have had before, and understanding that the person that you are when you buy those oracle cards 2 or 3 months down the track, or even 4 months down the track, when you keep practicing and you keep playing with them, you are not going to be the same person. But it's going to take that practice, that patience, and that time to help you. But every single time you pull out a deck of oracle cards and play with them, what you're actually saying is you're making that commitment to yourself to actually delve deeper into discovering who you are, to being able to understand that you can actually unlock all the answers that you are seeking within your own self the more that you learn to understand oracle cards. And once you've learned it, this is where this knowledge can be used in every single area of your life. Now, like everyone knows that I have developed my own deck of BU oracle cards, and most people think I just use this just to so that I can become a reader, and that's not true. That is one aspect in which I express that intuitive part and read oracle cards. But I also use the oracle cards every single day for every single area of my life. So there's not one area of your life that you couldn't seek guidance from oracle cards. There's no one question. There's not one question that you could not ask and seek that inner wisdom to be able to help and guide you along this journey. And this is where it starts to get really exciting, because the human mind only has the capacity to view world from this very small box. Hey Dee, how are you, honey? But what oracle cards do is that they open the lid to that box and start opening up a whole new level of awareness, a whole new level of perception, a whole new level of options that sometimes the human mind doesn't have the capacity to be able to grasp. And this is where we start developing all of these skills. And as I said, this all takes beautiful time. So the one thing that I have always been so deeply passionate about, which was once I understood that there was a process, just how fast and how rapidly I could speed up my own level of knowledge and my level of understanding, and which automatically strengthened my self-confidence and my level of trust. So I had more confidence when I made decisions. These were the things that I thought that just everyone understood, that was just this. But then that was also a part of my lack of understanding, just like it was when I bought oracle cards and thought it would be so simple. There was also that lack of knowledge that there was no one else out there also sharing this information, that there is a really simple and easy process. So that allows you to enjoy the process more. Because I remember many a time sitting there going, it's got to be freaking easier than this to read oracle cards. But That is the one thing that I've always prided myself on, is taking something really complicated and making it really very, very simple. And that's what I teach my students inside my Sacred Psychic online program. So if you would love to be able to fast track your learning around developing and understanding how to read oracle cards and connect more deeply with your intuition, your higher self, and that universe, but more importantly, learning to be able to tap into that fun and passion within yourself, which is the reason 9 times out of 10 we buy oracle cards to begin with. If this is something that is what you're saying, hell yes, this is what I would love to do, you will find, given each and every one of you with, and also remember that very first time you bought your oracle cards and how simple you thought it would be in those moments of when you get at home and you have that epiphany of going, oh shit, it's not as simple as what I think it is. And being able to remember that passion of why you very first bought those oracle cards in the first place, and being able to have a bit of a laugh at yourself, but also being able to reestablish that passion and that ignition for wanting to discover yourself on a deeper level, because that is what oracle cards do. Yes, they do provide us with beautiful guidance. Yes, they do give us so much more wisdom, and if we want to take that even further, we can go in and help other friends or family members, or even take it to the next level and do it professionally. But foremost importantly, what it does is it starts to transform your life, and you start to develop this absolutely gorgeous connection with your soul. So you go on this amazing soul-seeking journey, your own self. And that, to me, is one of the most awesome things that comes from being able to read oracle cards. So practice, be patient, and give yourself time. But as I said, if you really want to fast track that process and learn how to get back to just enjoying what you do, connect into that passion, but also have that confidence, because you're going to learn what the process is to be able to develop that intuition, then definitely I'd love to have a chat with you, because guess what? It can be fun. Learning can be fun, and learning how to strengthen your intuition, understanding that rather than, for me, the most important thing when I designed my deck of oracle cards was I found as humans, we seek so much outside of ourselves. We want validation. We seek wisdom. We seek guidance from every source outside of ourselves. And yet we all hear that we have this innate ability to tap into our own genius, yet we don't practice how to do that. This is what oracle cards do, is it helps empowers you, because you start recognizing that you actually have all of the wisdom and guidance and knowledge that you're seeking is actually within you. But first you've got to be able to know how to tap into that and be able to do that from a place of fun and joy and happiness, and from a place of curiosity, because you are going to learn so much more about yourself. And most people think that when I say you learn so much more about yourself, that you learn and open up these doors to these things that scare the shit out of you. No, what you actually do is you're actually starting to learn to be reminded that you have some amazing stuff within inside that you've forgotten. And by learning to read oracle cards, you actually reconnect back to those places within yourself that you have the conviction within yourself to say, hey, you know what? I am really good at this. Or I do have these amazing qualities, because the moment you can recognize them is the moment that you start to shine. And this is where learning to read oracle cards don't just change your life, but it starts to change the lives of other people around you. So go have some fun with your oracle cards. Take the information that I've shared with you and go and enjoy this process. Much love to you all. Take care, and please feel free to share this video with anyone.